Hello students, today we are going to see unit number 13, the Battle of Books themes. From the previous lesson, that is unit number 12, we learned what is the Battle of the Books, and here we are going to explore deeply on the themes of the Battle of Books. It was written by Jonathan Swift. His most famous work, other than Gulliver Travels, include The Battle of Books, which explores the merits of ancient and the modern in literature, and The Tale of a Tub, a religious satire in arguments against abolishing Christianity. The narrator argues for the preservation of the Christian religion as a social necessity. Here, we are going to explore the theme ancient versus moderns. In France at the end of the 17th century, a minor furor arose over the question of whether contemporary learning has surpassed what was known by those in classical Greece and Rome. The moderns took the position that modern age of science and reason was superior to the superstitious and limited world of Greece and Rome. In his opinion, the modern man saw farther than the ancient ever could. The ancient, for their part, argued that all that is necessary to be known was still to be found in Virgil, Caesarea, and Homer, and especially Aristotle. The literary contest was reenacted in miniature in England when Sir William Temple wrote an answer to Fontenelle entitled Of the Ancient and Modern Learning in 1696. His essay proposed that modern man was just a dwarf standing upon the shoulders of giants. The modern man saw further because he was standing on the learning of the ancients. He also saw modern man as a reflected light. When the ancient were sources of light, they possessed a clear view of nature, and modern man only reflected their vision. Temple's essay was answered by Richard Bentley, the classicist, and William Wharton, the critic. Temple's friend, sometimes known as the Christ Churchwaites, referring to their association with the Oxford University and the guidance of Francis Atterbury, then attacked the moderns. The debate in England lasted only for a few years. William Temple was, by the point, a retired minister, the Secretary of State from Charles II. He had conducted peace negotiations with France as a noble. It was beneath his station to answer common and professional authors. So most of the battle took place between Temple's enemies and Temple proxies. Notably, Jonathan Swift was not among the participants, though he was working as temple secretary. Therefore, it is likely that the quarrel was more of a spur to Swift's imagination than a debate that he felt interesting in the particular of. In the Battle of the Books, there is a epic battle fought in a library when various books comes alive and attempt to settle the arguments between moderns and ancients. In Swift's satire, he skillfully manages to avoid saying which way victory fell. He portrays the manuscript as having been damaged in places, thus leaving the end of the battle up to the reader. The battle is told with a great detail to particular authors, jostling with their replacement and critics. The battle is one just between classical authors and modern authors, but also between authors and critics. The prose is a parody of heroic poetry, along the lines of Samuel Butler's parody of Battle in Hudibras. The combat in the battle is interrupted by interpolated allegory of the spider and the bee. The spider, swallowed up to the first magnitude by the destruction of infinite number of flies, resides like a castle holder above a top shelf and a bee flying from a natural world and drawn by curiosity wrecks the spider's web. The spider curses the bee for clumsiness and for wrecking the work of one who is better. Spider says that in web is his home and stately manner, while the bee is vagrant who goes anywhere in nature without any concern of for reputation. The bee answers that he is going to whittling of nature, aiding in the fields, while the spider castle is merely what was drawn from its own body, which has a good plentiful store of dirt and poison. This allegory was already somewhat old before Swift employed it, and it is digression within the battle proper. However, it also illustrates the theme of the whole work. The bee is like ancient and like authors. It gathers its materials from nature and stings its drone song in the field. The spider is like modern and like critics, it kills the weak and then spins its web from the tails of its own body, digesting the viscera. In one scene, the Battle of Book illustrates one of the greatest themes that Swift would explore in A Tale of a Tub. The madness of pride involved in believing one's own age to be supreme and the inferiority of derivative works. One of the attacks in the tale was on those who believe that being readers of works makes them equal to the creator of work. The other satire Swift affixed to the tale, a mechanical operation of the spirit, illustrates the other theme, an inversion of the figurative and literal as the part of madness. Here, we could find that Swift has used trope. Trope is nothing but words or phrases used in ways that affect an obvious change or turn in their standard meaning. One kind of trope depends on the comparison between two very different objects, or else on a transference of qualities associated with an object, experience or concept not literally connected with it. Simile, metaphor, personification, pathetic fallacy, synecdoche, metonymy. The second kind of trope depends on a contrast between two levels of meaning or a shift from one level of meaning to the other. That is irony, paradox, oxymoron, understatement, lithos, hyperbole, and periphrasis. With this information, I conclude this lesson. Thank you.